If you're anything like me, you've got an irrational fear of volcanoes since childhood. It pays to stay in the know, so you can steer clear of countries with the most volcanoes active or dormant. Lucky for you, I made a list, starting with one country that's literally on what's called the Ring of Fire. I'm talking about Guatemala. In case you didn't already know, Guatemala is situated within the Ring of Fire, which is why a number of dangerous volcanoes are found there. Some experts refer to this area as the Central American Volcanic Arc, which passes across 5 nations in Central America, most notably Guatemala. The nation is home to at least 37 volcanoes, including the well-known Pacaya, Santiaguito, and Fuego. In June 2018, the Fuego volcano in Guatemala City erupted. It affected more than 1.7 million people in 3 central states and resulted in hundreds of fatalities as its deadly lava flows and clouds of ash engulf entire villages. By the way, a volcano is considered to be active if it's erupted within the last 10,000 years. According to this definition, there are roughly 1,500 active volcanoes on Earth. Globally, 60 volcanoes erupt on average per year, which is a lot. Oh, and the Ring of Fire stretches clockwise from New Zealand, passing through countries like the Philippines, Japan, New Guinea, Papua, Russian Kamchatka Peninsula. It goes all the way to the western shores of North, Central, and South America, Aleutian Island in Alaska. The Hawaiian Islands and the Galapagos Islands are also included in the interior. That's ginormous! Now, for a country that gets the most costly volcano eruptions, I'm referring to the Philippines. Look, volcanic activity can be destructive in so many ways. It's the cause of the famous Big Island of Hawaii's recent addition of kilometers of new shoreline, the inability of Guatemala's El Rodeo to maintain human life, and even the unprecedented closure of airports around the world, including Bali in Indonesia. In the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the Philippines is located, is home to 53 active volcanoes, making it one of the most volcanically active countries on Earth. This nation's volcanoes are occasionally listed among the world's most expensive and deadly volcanoes. According to statistics, the country has suffered significant damage from up to 22% of its historical eruptions, which include the eruptions of the Mayan and Taal volcanoes. Lahars, or mud flows, and tsunamis, which usually accompany volcanoes, are also more common in the Philippines than anywhere else on Earth. Yeah, you won't find me in the Philippines, that's for sure. The country's most recent volcanic eruption occurred in January 2020, when the Taal volcano set up a towering column of ash 9 miles high that reached as far as 40 miles away. The eruption resulted in 144 tremors and a massive lightning strike. People had to evacuate from the area, leaving around 450,000 homeless. Now, how do you feel about Lava Lake? Because the next country has just that. Yep, Lava Lake can be found in Ethiopia. Nearly 60 volcanoes known to have erupted in the last 10,000 years are located in the Ethiopian Rift. That makes it the 5th most seismically active nation in the world. To make things worse, 7 of the Earth's volcanoes feature an active lava lake. There are 2 lava lakes in Erta Ale in Ethiopia, one of which has been active for more than a century, just blobbing away molten hot lava. The next country is around the size of the state of California, but dotted with active volcanoes. I'm talking about Papua New Guinea. There are 94 active volcanoes in Papua New Guinea, which is slightly bigger than the state of California, including a decade volcano. Papua New Guinea is a part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, just like Japan and Indonesia, which I'll come to in a second. It makes sense given that Indonesia and Papua New Guinea both share an island due to their history of powerful eruption close to populated areas. The International Association of Volcanology and Chemistry of the Earth's interior has designated 16 volcanoes for special research. As for the name decade volcanoes, the United Nations started this initiative in the 1990s to raise awareness of natural disasters. Let's move on to a country that has both active and dormant volcanoes. It's none other than Japan. With 122 volcanoes still active, 10% of the world's active volcanoes are found in this country. Volcanic mountains make up the majority of the mountains in Japan, which draw visitors from all over the world. The majority of the volcanoes are in the Hokkaido, Chubu, Kanto, and Tohoku areas. In fact, Japan's tallest mountain is Mount Fujiyama, where the active volcano, better known known as Mount Fuji is located, whose most recent eruption occurred in 1707. Yep, that's recent. When you're a volcano, Japan is an archipelago of several islands, and it's home to about 122 volcanoes. The vast majority of these volcanoes have not erupted since 1800, but there have been around 62 of them that have experienced activity in the last few hundred years. Now for a country that has volcano eruptions predicted for the next 40 years. Yep, you wouldn't want to be in Chile. Over 2,000 volcanoes may be found in Chile, 122 of which are active. Of these, 60 have erupted in the last 450 years. And get this, about 40 could start erupting in the future, according to geologists. Lima and Balearica, two of Latin America's most active volcanoes, are also found here. This country sits between the South American and Nazca Oceanic tectonic plate in the eastern Pacific Ocean basin. So a river of heated magma is what causes the plates to shift slowly, and volcanoes are created as the plates move beneath the Earth's surface, either apart or colliding. For instance, the Cabuco volcano erupted in April 2015, close to Puerto Montt, spewing a significant amount of ash towards Argentina. 3 phases of the eruption took place, and thousands of people were evacuated from the region as debris from the activity landed and built up to a depth of 2 feet in some places. This is the volcano's first eruption in 40 years. And guess what? Chile also has the highest active volcano, sitting at 22,614 feet on Chile's highest peak of Ojos del Salado. Let's turn to the country with the second most volcanoes. I'm referring to Indonesia. The number of active volcanoes in Indonesia is so great that, according to experts, more than 197 million Indonesians live within 100 kilometers of a volcano. Imagine, with 9 million of them doing so within just 10 kilometers. The anxiety would have ended me. For real, the majority of the world's active volcanoes are found in Indonesia, which is also one of the locations inside the Pacific Ring of Fire. Numerous tectonic plates are colliding in the 25,000-mile horseshoe-shaped area that borders the Pacific Ocean. 129 of Indonesia's 147 volcanoes are currently active, and cities like Sumatra, Celebes, Java, Bali, Nusa Tenggara, Maluku, Lesser Sunda, and Sulawesi Islands were all affected by them. The Eurasian plate flowing south and India-Australian plate moving north and the Philippine plate moving west collide with one another to create the high number of volcanoes. Now for the country with the most active volcanoes. No surprise, it's the U.S. That's right, the world's highest number of volcanoes are found mostly in the United States. There are 161 volcanoes in the United States, but not all of them have recently been active. Whew! These volcanoes are primarily found in the Hawaiian Island, which is situated in the Central Pacific, an area of the world with a large concentration of volcanoes. Only 63 of the 162 volcanoes in the United States have erupted since 1800. Another hot spot is Alaska, which has the most number of the world's volcanoes. So much that there are yearly volcanic eruptions there. Steer clear, y'all! That's all for the top 8 countries with the most volcanoes.